So hello and welcome to this 2HP Tuesdays video on the 2HP TM. Let's check out what's to come before we get into it. Now the 2HP TM is the 2HP Turing Machine, based on Alan Turing's work with his Turing machine and the mathematical code based around that. There's plenty of information if you'd like to Google it or see more on the 2HP website. Now the Turing Machine is a nice, simple but powerful module, which is kind of the tagline for the whole 2HP range really. We have a trigger input up top, and this could be a clock, an already random gate, it could be something from a logic module, a rhythm, a trigger sequencer. This module doesn't try to work out tempo, it's based on events and new triggers coming in. So it's very flexible in terms of your patching. We then have a CV input and a knob for probability, and this takes the stepped pattern that it creates and takes it from truly random on every new step to the left to fully locked and loopable on the right, and it's fully variable in between, both with the knob and with the CV input. We then have a CV input and a knob or a little pot for steps, and this can go between 1 and 32 steps long, so you can lock a random pattern and then manipulate the step length for evolving and changing patterns and melodies. And we have an output which just simply controls the output from 0 volts up to 5 volts, and again anywhere in between. And you can patch this around your system for modulation, through a quantizer for pitch. You can use it to create random gates. So let's get into some patches that show those things off. Let's get stuck in. So here we're going to use the TM as a stepped modulator for my filter. Now the filter is font. Sounds like this. Just a deep saw wave coming in, simple resonant low pass filter. Turning up the modulation. Probability is all the way down, so this is just randomly stepping. Of course we can lock that probability, so there's 0% chance or probability that change will occur. That also locks the amp level. That has no effect when it's actually locked. Unlocking that. Let's lock a new pattern. We can play with the step amount. So there's a new pattern, a little bit slower again. Let's introduce some probability of change. You can hear it took a few times around there for the pattern to really move on completely. It's slowly developing. There's a probability that each new trigger and each new value will be different, but without an actual guarantee it will be truly random, unless that's all the way to the left. So in this patch we're using the output to actually drive a sequencer as if it's a gate signal. Now a gate is simply a high voltage or a low voltage. Anything that expects a gate or a clock, like a sequencer or an envelope generator's gate input, a voltage just simply has to pass a threshold for an event to occur, be that moving forward one step in a sequencer, or creating the start and sustain period if it's an ADSR on an envelope. So we can use random voltages, we could use LFOs, we could use anything variable that will trigger this clock input or gate input when the voltage is high enough. The output of the TM is on screen there on the data. This is a much faster moving clock, and when the voltage is high enough, it's opening the gate on a low pass gate with an envelope and moving my sequencer forward one step. So if I make this truly random, the actual fluctuating steps in terms of the varying levels are somewhat irrelevant when it passes the threshold to move this sequencer and create my gate on my low pass gates. They just think it's a gate input, and quite a random one at that. So if we lock down this random sequence, we can then play around with the steps to create different locked loopable rhythms. We can hear that little rhythm that is created, and again, vary those step lengths. That's just a quick patch to say, hey, use this as a gate or a clock source. Its own little random gate generator if you patch it up that way. So here I have a stereo string voice, and we're just going to look at the TM and the Turing Machine for pitch control. Pitch is super easy for us to detect, and just to walk you through the patch, I first set up the output level with a truly random zero probability or zero locking pattern into a quantizer set to a major scale, then that's going out into my string voice. So let's lock this pattern again. And I set the output so I could control the range of pitch control. If I make this truly random one more time, no locking or anything. A full scale output's just way too wide of a pitch range to be musical in any real sense to me and the patch that I want to create. So dropping the amp, the output level. And just remember that the amp is set before you actually kind of lock the pattern. It's not an output scaling. And just playing around with step lengths, really great for developing and evolving your melodies. Of course, all that variance between locked and looping and random, we can slowly introduce new notes. So let's back off at the probability knob. And slowly over various repetitions, this melody is starting to sound quite different. Again, let's lock one, maybe on a shorter step length. Again, backing off that probability to start to let in some new notes and some new information into that stream. We've got nice, simple, easy to patch, evolving, controllable, random melodies. So in this example, I'm using the TM to modulate the Patching Panda hats next to it. So it's modulating the decay and the filter cutoff with that green stackable cable splitting the same output from TM to both decay and cutoff. So when it's brighter, it's also longer in terms of the hi-hat sound. Now I'm using the CV inputs to probability, that probability of change, allowing us to lock and vary patterns from truly locked and looping to truly random and anywhere in between. And I'm also CV controlling the steps. So on an external controller, I can patch up the module, forget about it, lock a pattern when I like it, extend the pattern as I like it, and just play around externally on joysticks, pressure pads, knob sliders, whatever you choose to patch in. So let's play around. Let's change the step length and keep the pattern locked. So that's a step length of 2. That's how I've set up my controller. That's as low as it will go. 3. And so on. So as I'm performing, or you're performing, or you're just playing around and patching, you want to unlock the pattern. I'm going to change the controller that I'm using. Brand new pattern. Let's wait for something that I like and I'll lock it. Okay, that's locked again. And again, I can vary the step length with the external CV input.